Okay, welcome everybody. Faith is gonna tell us a little bit about the expectation of a perfect fitting suit, and also she's gonna explain a little bit about the plastic zipper.
Yeah, we have some questions about that.
Yeah. So, and welcome to Denmark.
Yes, this is my first time in Denmark.
Oh,
thank you.
Okay.
Well, first of all, thank you all for coming today. This is really a special thing for me to be here on the day you were planning to do this. It worked out quite well. I've been putting people into suits all day, and some of the questions that came up were some questions about how the suit should fit. You know, what should it look like on you? What should I have on my suit? And so I thought we'd address some of those questions and answer any questions you might have about your suits or things you always wondered about, where we came up with certain ideas, things like that. And so we have a volunteer here. I'm not sure he's really a volunteer, but we're going to pretend he's a volunteer. Okay, so Nikolai, and he actually was putting this on this suit earlier today. Come on over here, Nikolai. So he's wearing a Flex Extreme with a 250 weight undergarment, so middle weight, not the thickest and not the thinnest. And it's a very good example of showing how important preference is for people. Okay, some people like things to fit differently. Some people like things to fit snugger, like tight jeans, and some people like things to fit looser, like sweatpants. Okay, so it doesn't mean that one is right and one is wrong. It's just we have to, one of the things we try to understand from the customer is, what does this customer want, so that we can give them what they want. So he is wearing a middle weight undergarment, and we do something called a range of motion test to first make sure it is not too tight. Okay, so the range of motion test means bringing your arm back up over here, so like you were reaching for your valve. Okay, and yep, he can do that with no problem. Excellent. Okay, we're going to do this like you're reaching for your exhaust valve. Okay, a realistic thing to do underwater, right? And no problems with that. Okay, so now reaching over like this, putting on a fin. I'm assuming you can do that when you're not in your dry suit, so that's okay. All right, good.
Both.
Okay, excellent. And the other one is praying to the dry suit god. Okay, so you have to get down on your knees, like this. Sit on your heels and bring your hands in the front like this. And that tests the length of the suit. Is the telescoping torso long enough so that he can do that? Okay, no problem. So now we know the suit is not too tight for him. So now the question is, does he want some of this material that is here? He might not need quite all of that material to move. You need some, or you can't move. I mean, this material doesn't stretch, so you have to have some extra material in it, or you'll look good on camera, but that's all you'll be able to do, is look good on camera. So he has a little extra material in the hips. Okay, a little bit in the waist and a little bit in the chest, but he's also wearing only a thinner undergarment. Okay, so the question is how, is this okay now, so that he still has room for a thicker undergarment, when he is diving in really cold water? And also, what does he like? Does he like the way that feels? And the question was, what you were saying was yes, right?
Yes.
You like the flexibility,
yeah.
You like the movement, and you like the idea that you can wear something heavier if you needed to.
Yes.
Okay, so for him this works out very well. We decided it was a little long, right? So he doesn't need quite that much length in the leg. So we are going to go with, for him, this size, but in a short. Okay, so that the length is better for him. Now, if he was wearing a thicker undergarment, like the 450, the really thick Thinsulate, then this would be what I would say most people would consider a perfect fit. Because it's people in general, Europe tend to wear them a little snugger than we do in the U.S. And it would fit more like you would probably say a lot of Europeans would like it to fit. So, but this gives him the option to go both ways. Something thinner and something thicker. All of my diving is in dry suits. I don't use a wetsuit. So I have a dry suit that I use for very warm water, what I call very warm water. Okay, so like 18 and up. And then I have my dry suit that I use for almost everything else. And that dry suit is cut for the 450 undergarment. When you buy the suit, we can cut it for whatever undergarment you want. And I cut mine for the 450 because I do polar diving. and I have to be able to have that room, or I won't be able to do it. And it's just a little looser when I'm diving in San Diego, for example, just like yours would be. Yeah. Any ideas or questions or comments? Does that make sense, looking at that kind of thing? Please, if you buy a suit, it's very important to try to communicate those preferences to us. The best way to do it is to do what Nikolai did, and that is put on the suit and say, I like this or I don't like this. Get the closest fit you can that way. And then we'll still measure you to make sure that that is exactly right. But let's see what your preferences are that way. Okay, so that's it. So now we were also talking go ahead, you can demonstrate taking it off. We were talking about the telescoping torso. Do most of you guys have the telescoping, the front entry suit? All right. So I was telling him how we invented that about 30 years ago. We have do a lot of work with the U.S. Navy, and the Navy came to us because all their suits were zippers in the back. And they said that when the divers were in the submarines and the zippers were in the back, their arms would get tired, from being in one position like this with the zipper in the back. So they said, well, can you put a zipper in the front? And they said, sure, that sounds easy. So our head of R&D took a suit with a zipper in the back and put a zipper in the front, just like you see here. And he gets into the suit. He was 30 years younger then. He's 60 now, but he was 30 years younger then. And he had no problem getting into it because he was quite flexible. And he gets into the suit. And then because there was no telescoping torso, when Nikolai lifted that up, you saw it unfolded a little bit. And he couldn't get out of it because that was not in the suit. So he was stuck. And in San Diego, it was about 90 degrees Fahrenheit. So what's that? About 30 Celsius, okay? It was very hot. And we had no air conditioning in the factory at that point, 30 years ago. So it was very hot, and he would not let anybody help him get out of the suit. He said, no, if it is self-donning, it has to be self-doffing. I have to be able to take it off myself. And so he kept trying different ways of getting out of it, and none of them worked. And so about 5:30 in the afternoon, everybody has gone home, and he finally decides, okay, I need help getting out of it. But everybody is gone. Okay? So he's like, oh man, what do I do? And he lives about 30 kilometers away, so he doesn't want to drive home in his dry suit. It would look a little strange, so he takes a pair of scissors and he cuts the suit in half. Okay, to get it off of him. But when he lifted it up, he realized that if he had 10 more inches of material in there, that he'd be able to get it off himself. And so the next morning he took the two halves of the suit and he sewed a big piece of material in the middle and he put it on and off, and he showed Dick Long, look, I can do this myself. And he takes it on and off, and then Dick looked at him on him and says, all we need now is a crotch strap to make it look nice and neat. And so we added a crotch strap, and that was the invention of the self-donning dry suit. So necessity is the mother of invention. Okay, that is the important lesson there, So good, you can get out of that.
Okay.